Welcome to the first episode of the IAH MP2 podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that's kind of been haunting us a little bit, and I identified a blind spot in my thinking. Oftentimes I believe that the leading cause of death among teens and young adults was drugs, alcohol, and guns. But after realization, I realized there's a deeper rooted issue that we're facing as a society, and that's mental health. But we're not just going to leave it at that. What is causing these mental health problems? Well, I think, and what I've come to discover, is that it's a lack of the family. We have poor family relationships that are destroying our kids and destroying the young adults in this world. And so the thesis that I came up with and what I believe to be true is poor mental health has become a leading cause of death for teen and young adults due to the lack of positive family relationships. And this is really for all the parents out there that have kids at these ages, even kids younger than teen or young adult, but mainly for the parents out there that have teens or young adults to understand that we really are facing a problem. And the only way that we overcome this is to really make sure that we're treating our kids positively and showing that we do care and creating that positive family relationship. So I want to read a quote here, and this is from Rosling, and it's from his book, Factfulness. And he says, resist blaming any one individual or group of individuals for anything, because the problem is that we identify the bad guy, we are done thinking, and it's almost always more complicated than that. So what do we pull from this? Well, he's saying we can't just blame drugs, we can't just blame alcohol, we can't just blame guns, we can't blame the media, we can't just blame all these things. We have to truly look deeper because it is more complicated than that. Why are people doing these things? Why are people doing drugs? Why are people doing alcohol? So we have to look at the instincts and why these things are happening and not just kind of end with, oh, it's the alcohol and move on, because now we're not blaming an individual or group, but we're blaming something that people are using. And that kind of goes on to my next quote that he uses. He says, this instinct to find a guilty party derails our ability to develop a true fact-based understanding of the world. So that's really what we're seeing here. We need that fact-based understanding to see what's actually causing these things. It steals our focus as we obsess about someone to blame, then blocks our learning, because once we have decided who to punch in the face, we stop looking for explanations elsewhere. So oftentimes we do this. We blame it on the drugs, we blame the guns, we blame whatever it is. But when in truth and in fact, there's something deeper that's really happening here. So I think that's important that we pull that from Rosling. But another quote that I actually wanted to bring up was from Avoiding the News, and it's a podcast. And one of the quotes that I want to say is they talk about the saturation of news in our society, and they say, and the host is quoted saying, "I think is actually one of the reasons people are making an effort to avoid it. You are overwhelmed by news every single day that you must in some ways make a conscious effort to preserve your sanity." So oftentimes, we see very, negative news, and we see one thing blamed. So, overdoses, or, somebody dies by a gun, or, drugs are flowing over in the schools. And so we see these things, but we don't look any further. We just see that, we say, oh, we got to blame the drugs, we got to blame this. But why are people using those? That's the deeper question that we really have to be asking. And the unfortunate truth is, a lot of times it is a result of poor family relationships. We've seen, over time, as families have grown kind of farther apart. A lot of times we're even seeing, sometimes there are sometimes even both of the parents aren't really in the household. And with that, we're seeing an increase in drug use. We're seeing an increase in alcohol use. And if we use context clues and we really think about this, we're seeing that this is a result of not enough positive family relationships, and kids are going to drugs, they're resorting to alcohol, they're resorting to all these other things because they feel that it's the only way that they can be happy and kind of receive that joy or that dopamine that they've been looking for, because unfortunately they're not receiving it with their families. So lastly, I just want to share my screen here, and I want to show these statistics because I think that they give a good demonstration. So what we see here is we see unintentional injuries are the leading cause of death among teenagers age 15 to 19. But as we come down here to the next two, we see intentional self-harm, which is suicide, and we see assault homicide. So we see those as the two of the leading causes of death. Now, the scariest one is that suicide is number 2. So what we can take from that is we can see that is somebody that does not feel like they have any purpose in life. It's someone that feels like maybe they can't get out of, the struggles at their end. But a lot of times when you have a supportive, strong family, and not all the time, but sometimes that can really help. So it's important that the families are really showing love to their kids, being positive, because the truth is sometimes you don't know what somebody's going through. And a lot of times these families, they don't see it coming and things happen. And for assault and homicide, a lot of times people get involved in bad things. They get angry at each other. They become like they don't really care about the lives of others. And a lot of times this anger, this hatred, again, is rooted in the cause, which is a lack of positive family relationships. So it's important that we actually think about the deeply rooted issues and the correlation that these things have. It's kind of like a domino effect. It doesn't always happen. You don't see, it's not like direct, like, oh, this happened, but it has an impact on kids. It has an impact on the way that they think. So I think it's important that, we just, to all the parents out there, let's make sure that we give them those positive family relationships. We give our teens, we give our young adults positive family relationships so they do feel like they have a community, they have people around them, that their family loves them, and that they are worth it. So we don't see more of these mental health issues taking the lives of innocent teens and young adults. Thank you for joining today's episode. Have a great day.